Hey everyone, the name is Erik Thor, and one person asked me, how do you feel about being an INFJ today? And I think that's a great question. I think that's a question everyone should ask themselves. If you feel or identify as an INFJ, I'd encourage you to write down in the comments down below and to tell me, how do you feel about being an INFJ today? What do you relate to? What do you not relate to? Even though you have or feel a strong preference for the INFJ personality type, you might not feel like an INFJ every single day that you wake up, and sometimes you might hate being an INFJ, and sometimes you might love it, and sometimes you might feel like it's goes along with everything that you do and that it's a perfect expression of who you are, and sometimes you'll doubt it and you'll be like, am I really an INFJ? Maybe I'm not a type, maybe it's not me at all. So how do I feel about being an INFJ? Well, first of all, I've had my personality type disputed online a many million times, but I tend to encourage people not to care too much about what other people think. Ultimately, it's up to you whether you want to identify with something or not. If you say you're into rock and somebody asks you what kind of music do you like, then you say POD, and they're like, that's not rock, that's pop. That's up to them, and that's how they identify it, and you're welcome to identify as a person that likes rock music as much as you like, and it's not something we can resolve. I mean, people have tried in the personality community. People are literally sharpening pitchforks in every single community. You've got the purists, you got the socionics guys, you got every single one with their own way of typing, their own opinions about what qualifies as a type and not. And this trend of gatekeeping is not new to the MBTI community. It exists in every subculture. There is a right and wrong way to be a Christian, a right and wrong way to be a rock musician, a right and wrong way to be a man or a woman, right? So everyone has these ideas. I don't know where they come from, but I know that they're there, and that's, I think, because we like to universalize experiences. We want our human experiences, our individual subjective experiences, to be universal, but that's not objective. You can't make your own opinions, your own feelings, an objective fact or reality. And it's tempting to want to express how you feel and who you are in a general term, to say, as INFJs, we feel this way, or we are this way, or we think this way, instead of saying, this is how I feel. And that's where people get lost. So how do I feel? The first thing is, I've always had a strong relationship with autonomy, a strong idea of my vision. I always saw my vision as to help humanity connect and understand one another better. So I wrote, and I wanted to be an author, I wanted to be a philosopher, and I wanted to come up with a theory, a general ideology or vision that I felt people could get behind, that would help people find more peace of mind, more understanding of themselves, and more understanding of other people. And so I naturally gravitated to want to understand Carl Jung's theories on personality psychology, because I thought it was the promise of this, the promise of wanting to find a theory that would explain everything about human nature, so that we would understand each other and stop stereotyping one another, right? Because that's what I saw that we were doing. We're stereotyping people as lazy, stupid, kind, rude. But shouldn't we be asking ourselves what's going on inside? Shouldn't we be asking ourselves what the person really is thinking, what the person's deeper intentions are, what their values are? For me, the INFJ label made a lot of sense at first. I thought, I just had my burnout. I'd been in politics, and I thought to myself, maybe it was because I tried to be an extrovert, but really I was an introvert. And I thought to myself that, maybe I'd, tried to be somebody I'm not, tried to be too optimistic, too engaging, too outgoing. And maybe I should learn to be more mindful of my boundaries. And what followed was something I think was very good. I took a natural step back from politics, and it helped me disconnect from the polarization and the clan wars that we see between different factions today. And it helped me to really understand people without it. And it brought me into the study of psychology. Now, instead of trying to tell people how society should be, I instead started asking myself questions, and I started realizing that maybe we all want something different. Maybe we all have different needs. Maybe some people would be happy in a socialist utopia, while other people would prefer a capitalist society, right? Because we have different values, different needs, and maybe the goal is not to find one way to organize society that works for everyone. Maybe we should try and find what works for us as individuals, and we should try and have more mindful and open conversations. Oh, so that's the kind of society you'd like, and that's the kind of things that you're passionate about. What I'm passionate about personally is more something like that. But I can totally see why that would work for you, because you're a person that loves to do this and this, right? So I feel that's the kind of conversation I was hoping we would start moving towards. So far, that's not what I'm seeing. So far, I'm seeing more and more of this is the real way for us to want. And everyone has to fall behind and agree to my way of how things should work, right? I think it gets us very, very lost because, when you try to push everyone into your own version of reality, you're fighting an uphill battle. So it made a lot of sense to me, but over time I started to actually end up limiting myself a lot. I told myself, oh yeah, you can't do public speaking because you're too introverted. Oh, you can't go on big trips and adventures. That's more for the censors. And you can't make it as a programmer because that's more for thinking types. And you can't, just let go and have fun and play and be spontaneous when you're on vacation, because that's what perceivers are supposed to do. So I didn't consciously tell myself that in that literal of a way, but it's my excuse whenever I felt uncomfortable. Whenever somebody said, hey, do you want to go out to a party? Do you want to meet some new people? I'd be like, no. And whenever they'd be like, do you want to get out of your comfort zone and do something a bit scary, but something that might help you grow? I'd be like, no, I want to stay in my intuition, right? Because that's my flow. That's my comfort zone. That's how I like to be. And that's what works for me, right? And at first that made sense to me. I mean, I thought, everyone would be happier if they just did what their natural personality aligned with. I just didn't realize that people need more than that. People can't thrive on being their dominant personality alone, and ultimately you're building up these resistances and excuses in your head, and it's standing in the way of you being happier and more fulfilled in your relationship. Your partner is going to get upset with you because you're not willing to adjust and to improve and grow as a person, to try new things. And on top of that, you'll end up feeling like you're weak or less than other people because you're not as smart as a thinker or as outgoing as an extrovert, and you'll end up feeling held back a lot of the time. And when you're a public figure, a YouTuber, that's even worse, right? Because every single person watching your videos is gatekeeping on every single decision you make, and they'll be judging your videos, and they'll be commenting down below afterwards if they think you do or say something that doesn't match with the personality type that you say you are, right? So it was honestly a very difficult experience, and I saw other YouTubers and how they had to deal with this. I know many YouTubers that quit or gave up, or because they got sick of it, because it was so difficult to deal with, and people were so uncomfortable and so rude. Who are you to tell me who I am? Let me have my process to figure things out, and ultimately trust that I know myself a lot better than what you do based on watching a 10-minute clip of me on video, right? Now, I think in general, if you identify too strongly with anything, that's going to be a problem, because you're going to end up feeling stuck. You're going to tell yourself, because I'm a feeling type, I'm very kind, and I give up and sacrifice a lot of myself in relationships, and that's why I can't be happy or look out for my own needs. And if I was more of a thinking type, I'd be able to be more disagreeable, but I can't because I care too much and I'm too empathetic and too receptive to other people's feelings. So it's not possible for me to say, hey, I disagree with you and I think you're wrong, because you don't want to hurt people's feelings, right? And you'll have all these thoughts. At least I did, and it and I didn't even realize how big of a limitation it was, how much it impaired my growth. And I think just like water will go bad if you keep it in a container for too long, the human spirit will become stale if it doesn't let itself free to grow and to roam and to experience and wonder. Of course you have a soul, a core. Yes, you'll have preferences. Yes, you'll have core attitudes. We know biology influences everything from, how excited or enthusiastic you are, how calm you are, or how easily you are to get angry. We know there are genetic factors to all these things. These are not outrageous claims by any metric, but psychologists have grown overconfident in how far they can predict human behavior, because in fact, even the basic metrics that people hold to in modern day society, like IQ, extraversion, outgoingness, openness to experience, and the big five, even these tests are mostly superficial labels that fail to really capture the depth of human experience. And psychologists might give you an IQ test and they might say that it gives you a 5% likelihood of being successful compared to having a lower IQ, but they can't know for sure. Yes, there are statistical tendencies. Yes, there are averages. Yes, there are means. But psychologists, you gotta be really careful, because 5% is not anything to base public health or education decisions on. You can't make political decisions based on small averages in people's personalities. And just because the MBTI can prove that, yes, on average, people will stay at least 50% consistent in one type for most of their life, they can't say for sure that types are fixed. We are being overconfident, and we are doing a lot of harm by pushing on and making something that is complex, nuanced, and difficult into something that is simple, easy, and something you can use for quick labeling and decision making about ourselves and other people. But ultimately, if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I took this test and I got the ISTP personality result, you can't shrug off the fact that they can't be outgoing, intuitive, feeling, or judging in this specific context, at this specific work, or in this specific hobby. They might still, even if they identify as 55% more introverted than extroverted, have a 45% time of their life when they are very, very extroverted. And these are kind of things you don't understand by just giving a big five. Somebody, many people have made this claim that the big five personality test, it's like it gives me maybe 1% of the person I'm talking to. I can look at a big five test result of a stranger and I'll have maybe 1% more insight into that person than I would have without it, right? Because the remaining 99%, their background, their choices, their past traumas, their future goals, their motivations, those are all still very, very much secret to me. So how do I feel about the INFJ description now? I think that these days I've let myself out of the box quite a lot, so I feel very happy about that. I feel that nowadays I'm much more comfortable doing scary things like climbing, going to adventure parks, going to amusement parks, traveling to other countries, letting myself be spontaneous, letting myself improvise. I feel that I've really flourished as a programmer, and these days I feel like I am doing really well in my work, and that I am really accomplished and really able to use programming for the sake of my company and for my personal life. So I really feel like I've been able to prove myself wrong on every single thing I thought about myself, and that should humble any single person listening, because you too are probably very confident about who you are and what you can and cannot do, but I urge you to be just a little bit more inclined to doubt your limitations. Is that really true? Can I really not do that? Because I have been able to show myself with the facts that I was wrong on every single thing I thought about myself, and now here I am going going up to strangers, starting Socratic conversations, doing street philosophy. Here I am, thriving as a programmer. Here I am, going out, climbing trees, and God knows what. I was in Amsterdam. I was swinging off a building, a tall building. Yeah, maybe it doesn't sound that scary, but to me it can be. But here I am. I'm doing it because this is really the point of my video. Your goals might not align with your identity, and that's the question you might want to ask yourself. I would recommend you to click down the link below and take my goal assessment test, because perhaps your goals are different to the typical goals of your personality. Maybe even though you do identify as an introvert and as an intuitive, as a feeling and a judging type, you have goals that require you to be more outgoing than what you currently are, more seasoned, more willing to have real experiences, more willing to learn new things, more willing to improvise than what you currently do. Let go of control, right? And if you do, what are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna let those goals go to waste? Are you gonna give up? Or are you gonna make a deliberate change because you know your goals are worth it, because you care about those things, and because you have those goals for a reason? That's my question. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all in the next video.